Today you can still find people who've never used the internet or a cell phone. Some can't even read or write. Rare but true. But try to find someone who's never worn Adidas. Hard, right? Everyone's heard of the brand. And that's no surprise, because Adidas isn't just a company, it's a symbol of sports and lifestyle around the world. The German brand produces shoes, clothing and accessories, not only for athletes but for everyday life. Today, Adidas competes with global names like Reebok, Rockport, CCM, and TaylorMade Golf. But where did it all begin? Who started it? And how did a small family workshop grow into one of the most recognizable brands on Earth? That's the story we're diving into today. The official Adidas company was founded in 1949, but its story began long before that. Adolf Dassler was born on November 3, 1900, in a small Bavarian town. His family was poor. His father worked as a shoemaker, and his mother washed clothes in a local laundry. There wasn't much hope for a better future, so young Adi helped his father from an early age and eventually became a shoemaker himself. The Dasslers lived in real poverty, barely making enough to get by. So, in 1920, the family decided to start their own business, a small workshop for handmade shoes. Adolf, only 20 years old at the time, took charge. Soon his older brother Rudolf joined him. Friends called them Adi and Rudy. Their first factory was basically their mom's laundry room. They made orthopedic shoes for athletes and soft slippers for home use. Business was small, but it worked. People liked their shoes. Still, there were hundreds of tiny shoe workshops all over Germany. But Adolf wasn't the kind of guy who settled for good enough. He was obsessed with improving his craft, trying, failing, experimenting again. And after countless attempts in 1925, he came up with something revolutionary, the world's first soccer cleats with metal spikes. By the next year, that became the factory's main product. The spikes themselves were made by local blacksmith, the Zellin brothers, right in their own workshop. Demand started to rise fast. Soon, the Dasslers bought their first real factory building. In 1928, together with Joseph Weitzer, they designed and patented a new spiked shoe model. And that's when their small brand started to get noticed. But how do you make the world notice your shoes? Simple. You put them on the best athletes. At the 1936 Olympic Games in Berlin, American sprinter Jesse Owens wore Dassler's shoes, and in them he won 4 gold medals and set 5 world records. For the first time, the Dassler shoes featured their signature design, 2 stripes on the side. That moment changed everything. After Owens's victory, athletes from all over the world wanted the same shoes. Within just a few years, the Dassler factory was producing around 1,000 pairs a day. By the late 1930s, sales had skyrocketed to over 400,000 German marks, roughly $100,000 back then. Business was booming, and in 1938, the brothers opened their second factory. It looked like nothing could stop them. But then came the war. By the time World War II began, the Dassler brothers were already successful shoemakers. But even their booming business couldn't escape the chaos of war. Both Adi and Rudy were members of the Nazi Party, something that would later haunt their legacy. Their factories were confiscated, and both brothers were sent to the front lines. At one point, the Nazis tried to use one of their shoe factories to produce anti-tank grenade launchers, but the equipment simply wasn't made for that kind of work. So, within a year, Adolf was pulled back from the army to do what he did best, make training shoes for German soldiers. When the war ended, their hometown of Herzogenaurach fell into the American occupation zone. Rudolf was accused of being part of the SS and sent to a prison camp. Adi, on the other hand, managed to survive the denazification process thanks to one clever move. He started producing hockey skates for the US military. That saved his business and his freedom. In exchange for the skates, he received surplus American Army supplies, tents, gloves, uniforms, everything that could be recycled into shoe materials. By 1946, Rudolf was released and returned home. The brothers tried to work together again, but too much had changed. Germany was in ruins, resources were scarce, and tempers were short. They even began making shoes out of leftover army gear, using old tires for soles and paying their workers in goods like firewood or yarn instead of money. But as time went on, arguments turned into shouting matches. The brothers disagreed on everything, from business strategy to personal values. Eventually, they made the only decision left. They split the company. Rudy took one factory, Adi kept the other. They agreed never to use the family name or logo again. Adi named his new company Adidas, and Rudy called his Ruda. But soon, Adidas turned into Adidas, short for Adolf Dassler, and Ruda became Puma. And that's how one family feud created two of the most iconic sports brands in history. From that moment on, the brothers never spoke again, not once. After the split, Adi threw himself into work. His company officially became Adidas on August 18, 1949. He took the old two stripes from the Dassler brand, added a third one, and patented the now famous three-stripe logo. From that moment, Adidas began to rise faster than anyone could have imagined. Adi wasn't just a shoemaker. He was an innovator. He constantly looked for ways to make athletes run faster, jump higher, and move better. By 1952, Adidas expanded beyond footwear and released its first sports bags. Shoes was still the main business, but Adi wanted more. He wanted athletes dressed head to toe in Adidas. He found a partner in Willi Siedelreich, the owner of a textile factory. Adi ordered 1,000 tracksuits with 3 stripes running down the sleeves. They sold out instantly. Soon, Siedelreich's factory started producing exclusively for Adidas. Then came the moment that would make history. At the 1954 World Cup in Bern, the German national soccer team, wearing Adidas boots, won the championship for the first time ever. Adi had given them something no one else had: removable studs on their cleats. When the rain turned the field into mud, other players slipped and fell. But the Germans simply switched to longer studs and kept going. That victory turned Adidas into a legend. Sales exploded, jumping from 800 pairs to over 2,000 pairs a day. By 1956, Adidas became the official advertiser of the Melbourne Olympic Games, a huge milestone. That same year, the company signed its first licensing deal with a Norwegian factory in Gjøvik, and soon expanded production to France as well. By the late 1950s, Adidas had conquered Europe and set its sights on the United States. Sports were booming there, and Adi Dassler saw the perfect chance to bring his 3 stripes across the Atlantic. By the early 1960s, Adidas had officially gone global. The brand was now in demand not just in Europe, but in the United States, the biggest and most competitive sports market in the world. Through smart partnerships and high-profile sponsorships, Adidas quickly became a household name. By the end of the 1970s, the company owned 24 factories in 17 countries, selling around 200,000 pairs of shoes every single day. But Adidas wasn't just about shoes anymore. The company was now producing clothing, bags, and even soccer balls. In 1970, the Adidas Telstar became the official match ball of the FIFA World Cup in Mexico, the first ball ever designed specifically for television. Its black and white panels made it easy to see on the screen. And that design would go on to define the look of every soccer ball for decades. 2 years later, in 1972, Adidas became the title sponsor of the Olympic Games in Munich. That same year, the company introduced its new symbol, the trefoil logo, or 3-leaf. Each leaf represented one of the 3 major markets: Europe, America, and Asia. In 1974, Germany's national soccer team, wearing Adidas cleats, won the World Cup again, and at the 1976 Olympics, athletes outfitted in Adidas gear won an astonishing 75 gold, 86 silver, and 88 bronze medals, a record that still hasn't been beaten. Adidas wasn't just a brand anymore. It was the name in sports. But behind all the success, time was catching up with its founder. On September 6, 1978, at the age of 77, Adolf Dassler passed away. The man who started with nothing but a dream and a pair of hands had built one of the greatest sports empires the world had ever seen. After Adi's death, the company passed to his wife, Adi Dassler. But without its visionary founder, Adidas began to lose direction. The 1980s brought new and hungry rivals, Nike and Reebok. Both launched aggressive marketing campaigns across North America, sponsoring top athletes, pushing bold designs, and connecting with the new generation of consumers. Adidas, on the other hand, stayed traditional. Too traditional. By the mid-1980s, Nike and Reebok together controlled about half of the US sports shoe market, while Adidas's share had dropped to a shocking 3%. The Dassler family tried to hold on, but tragedy kept striking. Adi passed away in 1984, and 3 years later, in 1987, their son, Horst Dassler, the man who had helped expand Adidas internationally, also died. With no strong leadership left, the company began to sink. By 1989, the remaining heirs decided to sell. Adidas was bought by French businessman Bernard Tapie, the owner of the football club Olympique de Marseille. The sale price? 440 million German marks, a fraction of what the brand was once worth. But Tapie wasn't the savior Adidas needed. The company continued to struggle, drowning in debt and losing its market presence. By the early 1990s, Adidas, once the king of sportswear, was standing on the edge of bankruptcy. In 1993, Bernard Tapie sold Adidas to a group of French investors. They appointed Robert Louis Dreyfus as the new CEO, and that's when the real turnaround began. Under his leadership, Adidas restructured completely. Marketing budgets were increased, operations modernized, and production was moved to countries like Indonesia, China, and Thailand to take advantage of lower labor costs. By 1995, profits had more than doubled compared to the previous year. 2 years later, Adidas made a bold move, buying the French winter sports brand Salomon Sports. The company was then called Adidas Salomon, becoming the second largest sports goods manufacturer after Nike. Global expansion continued. New headquarters were built to celebrate Adidas's 50th anniversary in 1999, and offices opened in Japan, Turkey, and the Netherlands. By 2001, Adidas was also building its own retail network, launching the first 2 Adidas Original stores in Berlin and Tokyo, followed by New York in 2002. The company was back on track. Brand popularity was growing again, and the Adidas name was once more synonymous with quality, innovation, and style. In 2005, Adidas sold Salomon Sports and used the proceeds to make a game-changing move, purchasing 100% of Reebok International for $3.8 billion. This acquisition boosted Adidas's share of the U.S. sports market to 20%, narrowing the gap with Nike, which controlled 35%. Today, Adidas is a global powerhouse, but surprisingly, the company owns only 2 factories, one in Germany and one in the United States. The rest of its products are made by 290 partner factories around the world. 71% of production is in Asia, 18% in the Americas, 6% in Africa, and 5% in Europe. By 2018, Adidas had produced 409 million pairs of shoes, with 11% coming from its largest factory in Vietnam. Footwear makes up about 58% of total sales, while the brand sells products under Adidas and Reebok, with the split roughly 90% Adidas, 10% Reebok. The company employs 57,000 people worldwide, with annual revenue of $24 billion and net profit near $2 billion. Adidas is also one of the biggest sponsors in sports, supporting teams, athletes, and events across the globe. Despite facing bankruptcy and crises multiple times, Adolf Dassler always put his love of sport first and commercial success second. Even at 75, he was still active, playing tennis, swimming, and designing innovative shoes. His inventions, like soccer cleats with removable studs, changed the game forever. Thanks to Adolf Dassler, the shoemaker from a small Bavarian town, the world now has a brand recognized by millions, a symbol of passion, innovation, and sport. So friends, what's your favorite sports brand and why? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.